Colt in a short time had defeated many of the Broncos. He kept his jacket on, like father like son. I suppose he had barely worked up a sweat. Abel sat with his jacket over his shoulder watching the final one fall, tapping out as Colt held back from breaking his arm. Colt then looked to Abel. "Brother, shall I take you on?" Abel looked to him. "Aye, brother." Colt smirked. "Come. I know you have more energy than that for the night." Again the Broncos whooped and oohed on. Abel smiled, shaking his head slightly. "If you wish it." Standing going over as the other defeated circled to watch. Abel was a tower to Colt. He slowly put on his jacket. He was one that hadn't oiled up, but his body was rather thick in oil from handling the others, as was Colt, their hair dripping with it, shaking it from their eyes. "On your count," Abel smiled. Colt smirked. Never was one for counting. The air between them was stagnant. Colt's eyes never left Abel's. Their feet whispered against the mat, circling each man balanced, waiting. Abel reached first in the moment, extending his arm for a neck move. That was all Colt needed. In a blur, Colt stepped in and hooked Abel's head, his right hold arm wrapping around the back of the neck, tight and sudden. His grip sealed beneath Abel's jaw, locking in like a bear trap, snapping shut. Before Abel could react, Colt's left hand seized Abel's far arm and yanked it across his own chest, folding Abel in on himself. Arm trapped, head compressed, balance fading. Colt moved with purpose now. No hesitation. He slid his right foot deep between Abel's legs, pivoted hard, and brought his left foot around. His hips cut across Abel's stance, blocking the path, turning the whole world sideways. Time slowed. Abel staggered against Colt's side. One arm wrenched, the other pinned in the headlock. Then Colt popped his hips, low and strong, and twisted. The motion wasn't graceful. It was violent. Efficient, Abel left the mat, his body peeled from the floor by sheer leverage. Flipped headfirst over Colt's hip, he hung in the air for a breathless second, weightless, his own momentum betraying him. Then gravity found him. A thunderous slap of flesh on canvas marked the end of the throw. Abel landed flat on his back, shoulders smacking down, the sound echoing in the empty space like a closing door. Colt followed through, chest pressed to chest, the headlock still cinched tight like a collar drawn against a rope. He didn't look to the side. Just breath and motion, the feel of control settling in beneath his ribs. Abel looked to Colt. On landing, Abel composed himself immediately, turning his hips in toward Colt, pressing his back flat and shifting his weight under Colt's chest. This prevented Colt from tightening the headlock and staying high. Abel posted his far leg and arm. Using his outside leg, Abel planted his foot hard on the mat, and his far giant of a hand, the one not trapped, reached over Colt's hip, grabbing to Colt's waist, but he released some of his grip as Colt flinched. With explosive motion, Abel sits through underneath Colt, almost like a backward roll, but with torque driving his hips under Colt's center of balance, pulling Colt forward over him. Rolling Colt through the headlock, Colt's grip slips as he's pulled over, Abel with all his strength to roll through the hold, reversing the position. Abel landing on top, his side in control, hooking his arm to set up his own pin, but Abel was being careful of Colt's ribs and shoulder. While doing so, the pressure was relentless. Abel's weight pressed into Colt's ribs like a vice, though Abel was slightly holding himself from them, his right arm a cage locking Colt's movement. Colt's breath came shallow, the sting of the hold burning sharp, but his mind was calm beneath it. Abel leaned in, confident, tightening the grip, sure the fight was finished. But Colt wasn't done. Abel's body twisted beneath him, slick with sweat and slipping into desperation. He reached for space that wasn't there, breath coming faster, shallower, and that was when Colt moved. Fast, precise as always. He slid his arm beneath Abel's neck, like threading a needle, low and close, pulling Abel's head toward him. At the same time, Colt shot his other arm behind Abel's knee, wrapping his thigh and yanking it inward, head and leg. Colt locked his fingers together with a sharp clap of grip, folding Abel in half, like a cradle, his long limbs difficult to control. Abel bucked, once, twice, his towers of limbs struggling for leverage, but there was none to find. Colt pressed his chest low over Abel's ribs, his forearm tightening behind the neck like a vice, shoulder driving into the crease of Abel's folded body. Abel's breath hitched, trapped between his own huge limbs, long spine arched unnaturally, eyes wide. Colt squeezed tighter. Each motion was deliberate, not a muscle wasted. The mat felt still beneath them, but inside the hold, everything was closing in. Abel's knees strained toward his ear, his neck twisted awkwardly beneath Colt's grip. The cradle wasn't just locked, it was sealed. Colt could feel the pulse hammering beneath Abel's jaw. He could hear the wet gasp of breath trapped in a body with nowhere to go. No blood, no bruises, but Abel was coming apart all the same, crushed by control. He tucked his right arm close, shielding it like a lifeline, and bent his left knee beneath him. The mat pressed cold against his back, grounding him in the moment. Then, in one smooth, practiced motion, Colt twisted his hips, threading his left leg under his body. A coil sprung tight in his core. With a sudden burst, he rolled sharply over his right shoulder. Fast, tight, a spinning arrow slicing through the hold like fire. The world flipped sideways, then upside down. Abel's grip faltered. Colt landed lightly on his feet, eyes blazing with the fire of survival, ready for more. Abel blinked, slightly nodding. "I'm done," he managed out with the last of his breath. The tables had turned in Colt's favor, and it was over. The Broncos didn't cheer, didn't whoop. Instead, the room filled in silence. All stood filled with different feelings and astonishment and fear. Colt looked to them calmly. "Let us go to the Lions' challenge, then, shall we? Abira, lead the way." Colt held back, stopping Abel's stride. "You know you had me. You show my weakness as well as yours to others by your actions." Abel shrugged. "Not really. If I'm not capable of finishing it, then it was never a given. I don't believe that brawn is the strength the herd needs. I will not make you weak by my own hands, brother." Colt touched Abel's back. "Exactly. We are to go to a great war. Brother, I will speak on tonight, if you are in agreement with it. If you see a weak point, you must take it, no matter the outcome. To pause it is what will get you killed. There is no empathy in war for those who choose to battle." Abel let out a sigh. "You speak of war, and I've listened and trained for it. I agree that I will help you take down as many AIs as I can, but I cannot do that if I break you and show your fresh wounds and crushed bones to others who will do more harm than me. I would rather take the fall than cause you that harm." Colt looked to him, slightly smiling. "Let's go to the others, surely they're waiting on us to see the next fight." Abel nodded. "I don't think this is a smart idea." Colt smiled. "Do not worry, brother, for if Traveler were to fail, they would still have to take you on, and we know how that would be, for there was not a match for you." Abel stopped. "Didn't fight, Rono, did you?" Abel whispered. Colt patted his back again. "This night, no. So the others have already lost. Nothing shall change for us, and tomorrow the real training begins." Abel slightly punched Colt's arm in play. "You know you were not fighting completely fair, you know?" Colt smirked as they walked. "Never said I was going to." "Abel, you're massive. How else can I attempt to equal you in a fight? You do not need to go easy on me. I will fight till I win one way or another, until I no longer can." Abel stopped a moment in thought, but then continued without speaking his thoughts.